Chapter 11. The Keeper of Unseen Doors.
On the outskirts of a dense forest stood a modest stone house. Most travelers never noticed it. Those who did assumed it was abandoned. Few knew that inside lived a quiet man known only as the Keeper, guardian of doors no one could see. These doors did not exist in wood or metal. They did not open with keys. They were transitions, thresholds between chapters of life. The Keeper was not a gatekeeper. He never blocked anyone. His task was simply to show people the door meant for them, but only when they were truly ready to walk through it. One misty morning, a man named Faris arrived. He had heard stories of invisible doors that led to new destinies. He felt trapped in repetition. Same routine, same choices, same disappointments. He longed for change and believed the Keeper would provide it.
The Keeper welcomed him with tea and silence. Faris grew impatient. "I want to know where my door is," he demanded. "I'm ready." The Keeper studied him for a long moment. "Are you seeking a new door," he asked, "or an escape from the room you have not yet understood?"
Faris frowned. He had expected enthusiasm, not challenge. "I just want something different," he said. The Keeper nodded. "Different is easy. Growth is harder. Sometimes the door you seek is not ahead of you, but inside you." He gestured toward the forest. "Walk, observe, return at dusk." Faris felt dismissed, but obeyed. As he wandered, he noticed subtle things: the curve of branches, the rhythm of birds, the shifting patterns of light. Yet his mind remained noisy. Why didn't the Keeper show me? Does he doubt me? Am I wasting time? At dusk, he returned, frustrated. "I saw nothing," he said. The Keeper poured tea. "You saw everything except yourself." He handed Faris a small lantern. "Tomorrow, walk again, but at dawn. Hold this lantern before you. When it dims, a door is near." Faris felt hopeful. The next morning, he set out eagerly, but the lantern burned steadily. No change. Hours passed. He sat beneath a tree, discouraged. "Maybe there is no door for me," he whispered. As he rested, an old woman approached, struggling to carry firewood. Faris almost ignored her. He was busy seeking his destiny. But something softened in him. He stood and helped carry the wood to her hut. She thanked him with a smile. When Faris stepped outside, he noticed something strange. The lantern's flame flickered. He lifted it. The light brightened, then dimmed, then brightened again. Confused, he followed its rhythm. Slowly, the lantern guided him to a small clearing he had passed earlier without awareness.
There was no door, just trees, rock and earth. But suddenly he sensed something intangible, a presence, an invitation. The air felt like a held breath. He rushed back to the Keeper. "I found the place," he said. "Show me how to open the door."
The Keeper shook his head. "The door opens only when you can enter it without running from something else." Faris protested. "I'm not running." The Keeper looked into his eyes. "Then why did the lantern respond only after you served another?" Purpose is not found by searching ahead, but by becoming someone who can be trusted with the transition. Faris fell silent. He realized he had approached this journey with entitlement, believing the world owed him transformation without effort.
The Keeper continued. "Unseen doors appear only when your attention turns outward, not inward. When you helped the woman, You stopped chasing destiny and started embodying it.
That night, Faris sat outside reflecting. He recognized that he had spent years wishing for change, but doing little to become someone capable of receiving it. His desire was loud, his readiness quiet. The door had been waiting, not for him to find it, but for him to mature enough to notice. The next morning, he returned to the clearing. This time, he did not search. He simply stood, breathing deeply. The boundary between forest and possibility thinned. He felt a subtle shift. Without sound or spectacle, the space before him rippled like heat. A doorway appeared. No frame, no hinges, just a threshold of shimmering air. He felt fear, not of danger, but of the unknown. He remembered his old comfort, his predictable life. He thought of turning back, but he also remembered the years of longing, the stagnation, the hunger for something more true. He stepped forward. Crossing the threshold felt like shedding a skin. When he emerged, he found himself in another clearing, identical yet utterly different. He felt lighter, not because his world had changed, but because he had. The keeper was waiting. "What did you find?" he asked. Faris thought carefully. "Not a new world," he said. "A new self. I crossed the door when I stopped seeking a different life and began living differently in this one."
The keeper nodded. Exactly. Most people want external change. They wait for signs, opportunities, miracles. But unseen doors respond only to inner change. Until you become someone new, every door remains invisible. He added, "The universe is not a maze of hidden passages. It is a reflection of your readiness. When you change, doors appear everywhere."
Faris asked, "How many doors are there?" The keeper smiled. "As many as you are willing to walk through." Faris stayed with the keeper for several weeks, helping around the house, tending the forest paths, practicing presence. With time, he found new doors, not to different worlds, but to deeper versions of himself. One leading to discipline, another to forgiveness, another to vulnerability. Each required him to surrender an old habit, belief, or fear. Each expanded him. Eventually, he left, not because he had finished learning, but because he had begun living. He no longer sought doors. He recognized them in daily life, in challenges, relationships, endings, opportunities. Most people think transformation arrives with dramatic shifts, but unseen doors are subtle. They open when you act with integrity, when you choose courage over comfort, when you meet life with awareness instead of escape. Unseen doors are everywhere, but only those who stop running from themselves can see them.
Chapter 12. The Room That Held Nothing.
In a bustling port city stood an old monastery built against a cliff overlooking the sea. Sailors came to offer prayers before voyages. Merchants donated in hopes of luck. Yet deep inside the monastery was a single chamber almost no one entered. A room said to grant insight to those seeking direction. The room was known simply as the Nothing Room. Pilgrims who heard of it imagined altars, sacred objects, ancient relics. Some believed the walls would speak. Others thought visions would appear. Whatever the stories, everyone expected the room to contain something extraordinary. One day, A young man named Dalen arrived. He was overwhelmed by choices, unsure of which career to pursue, which city to live in, which relationships to nurture. His life was full of options, but empty of clarity. He longed for certainty. A monk guided him through winding hallways to a plain wooden door. Inside, the monk said, "You will find your answer." Then he left. Dalen stepped in and froze. The room was empty. No furniture, no books, no paintings, no lights, just bare stone walls and silence. He searched for hidden openings, traps, or symbols. Nothing. He waited, expecting revelation. Nothing. He knelt in prayer. Nothing. Minutes stretched. Irritation grew. "Am I being mocked?" he muttered. He shouted, "I came for guidance." The room offered no response. He felt foolish, angry, betrayed. He stormed out and found the monk. "There is nothing in that room," he protested.
The monk nodded calmly. "Yes, so how is it supposed to help me?" The monk replied, "It already has." Dalen was confused. "All I found was emptiness." "Exactly," said the monk. "You expected clarity to appear as something, but clarity often appears when everything else falls away."
Dalen protested, "I didn't learn anything." The monk looked at him steadily. "You learned what you bring into silence." Those words unsettled him. He realized that in the emptiness, his impatience, fear, and frustration filled the space instantly. The room had not been empty. He had. And into that emptiness, his mind had poured chaos. The monk continued, "The nothing room reveals your inner state. Some enter and feel peace. Others feel terror. Some cry, some laugh. The room shows nothing, so that everything within you can be seen." He guided Dalen back inside. This time, the monk closed the door behind him. Dalen sat. At first, his thoughts spun. Anger, disappointment, confusion. But slowly, the noise faded. The silence grew heavier, not oppressive, but precise. In the quiet, he noticed his constant need for answers, his fear of choosing incorrectly, his belief that clarity must come from outside himself. He saw how his thoughts chased possibility after possibility, not out of curiosity, but out of panic. Terrified to commit, terrified to lose. He realized he didn't actually lack direction. He feared responsibility. He feared choosing because choice meant consequences. Once he chose, he could no longer fantasize about every other path. He would have to live the one he picked. The emptiness had exposed him. Hours passed. Dalen's breathing slowed. His mind calmed. He acknowledged, perhaps for the first time, that he already knew what he wanted. He had just been afraid to admit it. He wanted a quieter life, away from the chaos of ambition, not because he lacked talent, but because peace suited his nature better than noise.
Yet he had chased careers valued by others, afraid of appearing small. In the nothing room, that illusion crumbled. He realized that clarity was not something to find, but something to uncover when fear dissolved. When he finally left, the monk asked, "What did you learn?"
Dalen answered, "The room gave no answers. It only removed the noise. The answer was already within me." The monk smiled. "Nothing is a teacher when you are ready to listen." Dalen bowed. "But why must the room be empty?" The monk replied, "Because life is full, too full. Minds are crowded with noise, expectation, comparison. The room strips everything away so that truth has space to speak. He added, "Most people leave because they cannot bear what emptiness reveals." Dalen looked back at the door. He felt gratitude, not for what the room gave, but for what it removed. On his journey home, he noticed how often people seek clarity by adding more knowledge, more voices, more signs, never realizing that clarity is subtractive. It appears when we stop stuffing ourselves with noise. The Nothing Room teaches that guidance is not always presence. Sometimes it is absence, the removing of distraction so truth becomes visible. Many people believe answers are external. They chase mentors, signs, teachings. But the deepest answers arise when the world quiets enough for the inner voice to be heard. Stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is space. Dalen learned that the greatest clarity comes not from revelation, but from reduction. What you seek is often buried under what you refuse to let go of: fear, comparison, fantasy, expectation. Remove them, and direction appears.